fifth grade. The lessons that I'm giving today are from page 277 way up to page 282. We're talking about subordinating conjunctions, and those are big words. That's 9 syllables right there. Subordinating conjunctions are words that tack on to clauses to make them either dependent clause or independent clause. Now, a clause, if you remember, is a group of words that has a subject and a verb. So every sentence is a clause. An independent clause means it has a subject and a verb and expresses a complete thought, and it's not dependent on any other phrase for it to sound right. It's an independent clause. It can stand alone and still make sense. If you take a look, our independent clause on page 277, we will go outside. That is something that doesn't need anything else for it to make sense. It has its subject, it has its verb. A dependent clause would be a clause that can't stand alone. It doesn't really make sense the way it's put together, even though it has a subject and a verb. The example it gives you is when it is time for recess. Now, because of the word when, that word is a subordinating conjunction, and it makes that clause a dependent clause, which means for that to make sense, you need to add more to the sentence for it to be accurate. A dependent clause does not have a complete thought just because you put that subordinating conjunction on there. So, if you're joining a dependent clause and an independent clause, then together those are called a complex sentence. And the next lesson you guys are going to be doing that I'll talk about today is figuring out if that is a complex sentence or if it's a compound sentence. And it all depends on whether it has a subordinating conjunction. You have a little list of your common subordinating conjunctions on page 277, that little orange box. And if you notice, when is in there. Now, if you look at number 1, although is up there on your list. Although the Taj Mahal seems like a palace, if it were just that much, it wouldn't make sense because of the word although. If you didn't have although, it would say the Taj Mahal seems like a palace. And then your next sentence could say, it is a great tomb. But because you have the word although in there, it can be all one sentence, a complex sentence, starting with a dependent clause. Although the Taj Mahal seems like a palace, that's dependent. It is a great tomb. That part is independent. And put all together, that is a complex sentence. So the underlined part there is the part that includes although. And although the Taj Mahal seems like a palace, that is a dependent clause, so a D goes in the space. Now, there's a difference between a complex sentence and a compound sentence. A complex sentence is a dependent clause and an independent clause. A compound sentence are 2 independent clauses joined by and, but, or. So you can ride the elevator or you can climb the stairs. Both of them are independent clauses. They don't need anything else for them to make sense, but they can still be combined into an compound sentence. Means 2 independent clauses put together. A complex sentence has a subordinating conjunction instead of a regular conjunction, like and, but, and or are the regular ones. And when you put an independent clause, with a dependent clause, and the dependent clause is dependent because of that subordinating conjunction, then that is a complex sentence. So if you look at number 1, Gustav Eiffel studied the science of metal while he was in school. Now, while he was in school is a dependent clause because while is a subordinating conjunction. Gustav Eiffel studied science of metals is an independent clause. I hope I just said that right. While he was in school is a dependent clause. That's how it is right. So that means since you have those two together, it is a complex sentence. If you look at number 3, in the center, the word and is there. And if you look, Eiffel was successful is a complete sentence. It's an independent clause. He became known as Europe's master metal builder. That is an independent clause. So since you combine two independent clauses with and, but, or, then that is a compound sentence. And that's what the difference is between those two. A simple sentence, if you look on page 281, a simple sentence has a subject, it has a verb, and it gives a complete thought. It doesn't have any conjunctions at all. So if it has what it needs, it makes sense, it's a complete thought, and it has no conjunction, it is a simple sentence. So we've gone through 3 kinds of sentences. We have simple sentences with no conjunction. We have compound sentences with the regular conjunctions and, but, and or, because they're 2 independent clauses joined with that conjunction. And then there's subordinating conjunctions, and subordinating conjunctions joins an independent clause to a dependent clause. And because of that subordinating conjunction, one of those clauses is dependent. And those are complex sentences when you put those together. It is pretty complex, this whole 3 lessons are. But take your time with it. Read over your info boxes. If you have any questions, let me know and I will help you out. You can message me on Google Classroom. You can email me and I will respond and help you get things ironed out. That's all I've got. Thank you, 5th grade.